to overtime.
Dwayne Wade right at the body of Anderson Varejao. Welcome to your Kodak moment, Anderson Varejao.
Doncic pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Doncic wins the game at the buzzer!
And multiple times, my headphones are slowly killing me because they keep panning left to right. All right, let me just fix this, but we don't have any time to fix this. So let's just start talking about the draft summary while I fix my headphones. Does that work? Am I hearing myself? I am. Excellent. Yeah, let's start with the draft. The Wolves are, of course, my team, so let's start with them. First overall pick, Anthony Edwards. The pick that I was, going to be most okay with at first overall. I was always a fan of a trade down, but that just wasn't going to happen. Then they traded the 17th pick and James Johnson for Ricky Rubio, the 25th and the 28th. Then they traded the 25th and the 33rd for the 23rd pick. With the 23rd pick, they got Leandro Bolmaro, and with the 28th pick, they got Jaden McDaniels, and I'm starting to think these headphones are just messed up, so I'm going to have to deal with it. 28th pick, they got Jaden McDaniels, the small forward, power forward out of Washington, who was supposed to be a top 10 prospect last year. Shades of Brandon Ingram, Kevin Durant is what people say because he's tall, thin, can handle, and can shoot. But, I love that pick. I was saying we could have gotten him at 17. He was apparently in consideration at 17. And we picked up, a fan favorite. Now, what this Rubio trade does is interesting because a lot of people were saying, hey, D'Angelo Russell can play off ball, and getting another great ball handler, which they wanted, LaMelo, getting another great ball handler would just unleash this whole offense. And while that's fair, they got a discount version of that in Rubio. I was saying before the draft, we could get to a situation where LaMelo Ball is just a 6'7" Rubio. And we also got Anthony Edwards, who's, there was some great sports science stuff up recently where he's like in the 99th percentile of athletes at his size, or at his height and all that. And it is insane. Even just the video of him showing off his standing vert is crazy. It looks like he flies. But aside from that, I really think his shooting can take a next step in the league. He shot well from free throw, and he was taking so many shots from three a game because, I did a little analysis of this on Twitter, but his teammates were so awful and were setting him up in such a bad situation that it just kind of made sense. And if he's going to be that absolute physical bully, then why do you care so much about his percentages and all that? Because if he's going to add that element of physicality like the Wolves front office says he will, then why do you care about, his shooting numbers would still be nice, but like you can be a pure slasher and still succeed in this league, I think, as long as you get to the free throw line and are efficient with it. Of course, you need to be able to shoot the three in some regard. You can't be DeMar DeRozan, but being an okay shooter and a great slasher can set you up for success, like easily set you up for success. That's how De'Aaron Fox is working. And while De'Aaron Fox has something game-changing in his speed, Anthony Edwards has that force and his frame. So I think it'll work out for him. The Rubio pick is interesting. The Rubio pickup is interesting, of course. I've gone back and forth on this 3 times already, where as soon as it happened, I was furious. I really liked having James Johnson. He was a great vet for us. Really just kind of bound this team together as a vet. You could just see it in the videos they were putting out. Everyone loved James Johnson in that locker room. I'm kind of sad to see him go. But look, what can you do at some point? Like, what can you do? And look, maybe what this does say is that in the next year, they're not making any trades, any big trades at least, because they're not going to get anything for Ricky Rubio, who's still on a 2-year deal. It's next year when you have the $17 million deal of Rubio, when you still have Culver under contract, and maybe he's been better. And then you have Anthony Edwards, who's still going to have promise, and he's going to be a trade chip. for a superstar, or maybe he's so good that you don't need to. But there's that, and then there's the Ed Davis trade, which is Amari Spellman and Jacob Evans, who the Wolves got from the D'Angelo Russell trade, which was, I mean, look, them staying under the tax last year was a huge part of why they were able to make those moves. I don't understand why they haven't used the mid-level now, considering they are heavily above the tax. But look, at some point, you just got to support your team's moves, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I mean, I love the Ed Davis move. D'Angelo Russell playing alongside Ed Davis was the Nets' best grouping of two, and by far D'Angelo Russell's best grouping of two in Brooklyn when he was an all-star. So I like it. The question is really, what are we going to do at power forward? Because I don't think Ed Davis is that. I hated the Juancho re-signing. That's far too big of a number for Juancho Hernan-Gomez, whose only definable skill is his shooting as a four. Maybe he can pass a little bit, but genuinely, he can't. He's horrible around the rim. For as big as he is, he doesn't do anything on the defensive end. He can't move his feet. If we want to play in transition, then why is he gets to the three-point line and then stops instead of continuing to run to the rim. So I'm not a big fan of Juancho. And then the Malik Beasley contract, 4 years, $60 million is more like 3 years, 44-ish, because the last year is a team option, of course. But I've seen everywhere that, this is an overpay and all of that. And I don't really think it is. If you think about how good Malik Beasley was last year, which was 50% from the field, over 42% from three on like 11 attempts a game or something, and averaging over 20 points a game, that's far more valuable than a $15 million a year player. And of course, it was only 14 games. But I mean, look, there was reason to see that happening behind, buried in the Nuggets bench, and seeing it happen now is also not too insane.